Welcome to Tomo Talks. I'm Tomo Marjanovic. I am here today with military vet and IFBB pro bodybuilder Robert Timms. We're going to talk about mindset development and discovering your niche. Stay tuned. So a lot of the bodybuilding guys that are going to be watching this, a lot of the fitness people that are going to be watching this, they know who you are. For everybody else that's not into bodybuilding, we have a lot of people that are into business, into lifestyle, that watch this podcast. Give a little introduction to everybody, where you came from, what you do. Just give a little background on you before we start diving in there.
My name's Robert Timms. I grew up in Orlando, Florida, actually. Raised by my father and my stepmother. I have 3 siblings. And, you know, I grew up really kind of middle class, had a lot of fun as a kid. I had a really good upbringing. Set a lot of rules. My dad set a lot of rules for us, really strict.
You were a good kid?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. My thought process was always want to make my dad proud. Okay. So even still to this day, it's more not always thinking before I act a lot of times, So I didn't do the whole grow up partying and grow up, any of that stuff. I kind of just I was really modest. We stayed in church. That was a big thing in my family. Sunday night, Wednesdays, Fridays, we in church.
Okay.
So I had a really, really good upbringing. Then it goes to activities, right? So me and my brother, we wanted to do things, so we got into karate. I got in when I was 8. 8 years old.
So you started martial arts at 8 years old.
I started actually here. It's a school called Dynamic Shotokan Karate Academy, and it's Japanese style martial art. And I did that till I was 13. I got my black belt. Then I started kickboxing, and then I went into boxing.
So you're dangerous too.
And then I went into.
So you're not just big. You're not just big and intimidating. Like, you actually have some dangerous qualities.
So the thing is, right? But that teaches you discipline, right? That's one of those things where just because you can doesn't mean you do, right? So that was the purpose and the mindset behind why my dad put us in martial arts, and it worked. Never had any street fights. Never did any of that. I've always respected everybody. It's one of those things you give respect and you get it back, right? So that was my thing. Big on respect. Yes, sir, no, sir. Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, stuff like that. But that's just how I was raised, around a lot of love, family, all love. And it's really good, yeah. So that's a little bit about me. 19, went into the military.
Are you first generation military, or did you have family that are in the military?
So my grandfather was a Marine.
Oh, okay.
And he retired and worked at the sheriff's department down in Sanford.
Really?
Right.
Okay.
And so other than that, my mom, my biological mom, she's actually retired this year after 40 years.
Wow.
What branch? In the Army.
Okay. That's awesome, man. And you at 18 went into the military. You said Air Force, right?
Been Air Force.
Okay. How was that? So all the people that I know in the military, it's usually Army, Marines. 'Cause I know a bunch of, grunts and jarheads. Right. Bunch of meathead guys, you know what I mean? And they went in, they were combat vets. Right. Those are most of the guys that I grew up with and that I know. So going into the Air Force, a little more of an intellectual kind of job in the military.
The thing with the Air Force is a lot of people look at us as, like you said, just more the intellectuals. It's because we don't have those crazy type jobs as infantry. We don't have an infantry. We don't have stuff like that. We have PJs, which are our special forces, but we don't have like those regular bases, jobs like that. The Air Force for me, I didn't go in looking for the discipline part. I didn't need it.
You already had that.
My dad gave that to me. I went in looking for the start of life, if that makes sense.
Good, kind of going into adulthood, your segue into adulthood. Gotcha.
Because I knew I wasn't the scholar. I wasn't the one who was, I want to, I was smart, but I wasn't inclined to go to school. I didn't have that desire.
Gotcha.
But I knew I wanted to do something.
Okay.
And I know I needed to do something. I did join the military. I came in the Air Force, and it was probably the best thing I could have done.
Okay. What was your job?
So I was a weapons loader. I actually loaded bombs on jets for 13 years.
Very cool. That's how you got the arms?
And that's how I got that's where it started. So that was my job, and it was super exciting, right? Got to see a lot of things. Got to go a lot of places.
You deployed outside of the country? Where were you deployed to? Everywhere?
Yeah, we went a little bit.
Really?
We went a couple. So for our deployments, we went a couple of different places.
Okay. I know you did at least one tour in Europe. So I did a little bit of history on you.
I did.
So I did my background. I know you did one tour in Europe. I know you did at least one in the Middle East. Who knows where? I don't think any of that information is out there.
So we don't talk about where we deployed to, but I will tell you did go to, my first station was Italy.
Oh, Italy.
It was. Mm-hmm. Beautiful. I was there for about 2 years.
Okay.
And then I did some time in Korea.
Oh, okay. Cool. So maybe the Middle East is a rumor. I don't know. We're going to pretend like we don't know what we're talking about there. So while you were in the military, you're deployed. You obviously have always been active with karate and everything like that. In the military with kind of basic training and working out and stuff like that, did you start getting into the gym and lifting weights while you were in the military, or was that beforehand?
Growing up, I've always been strong, but I never really touched weights on a consistent basis. I never really was even in high school, I wasn't in weightlifting. I didn't do that stuff. I was just naturally gifted. When I first started training, I was actually in the desert, and a friend of mine, he looked at me. He's like, "I'm gonna show you how to lift," and I was like, "Okay." And I was 175 pounds at the time. Unbeknownst to me, you don't understand what your potential is until you're actually in a situation.
Sure.
Right. You don't understand how you're gonna react until you act. Right. He started teaching me, but it didn't make sense to me. We're doing an exercise, and I'm like, well, why are we doing this? He's like, this is what you do. This is just how you do it. And I'm like, but I don't know that I feel it where I'm supposed to feel it. He's like, just go through, just do it. Just do the motion. And I'm doing it. I'm like, it just didn't make sense. Right. And I said, I'm gonna work up. I'm gonna do it myself. I was like, you showed me the motions, but I want to make it a little bit more understanding to myself.
So tailor it to you the way that you feel your muscles move and the way that you...
Right.
Gotcha.
Because if I'm doing a curl, I want to make sure I feel it in my bicep and not just moving the weight. Right. So I stepped away from him, and 2-3 months later, I was about 200 pounds.
Wow.
I left the desert at 230.
230, and you were probably lean, I'm assuming.
It wasn't, I wasn't fat.
Sure. Most of the guys in the military aren't going to get fat.
Right.
Yeah, you're going to be relatively
especially
lean.
in the desert. You're working 6 days a week. It was funny because when I stepped off the plane, everybody was like, what happened? Like, I was like, I just learned how to lift. And that's really what it was. Granted, I learned about diet. I learned about food, because when you're over there, you're not really going to get the food that you want.
Sure.
You got to get what you can get. But I understood what food was and how certain foods worked.
I'm assuming you did a lot of research while you were doing this.
I had no choice.
So you're reading, you're researching.
Understanding proteins, fats, carbs, macros, micros. Though I took those basic understandings, right, and implemented them. And then I fell in love with it.
So not necessarily bodybuilding.
No.
You fell in love with lifting weights and just getting stronger, being healthy.
That's it.
Okay.
That's it. I've never wanted the label of a bodybuilder.
Okay. It has a negative connotation.
It's not even that it has a negative. It's not even that. I think it's more so like people think one way when they hear the word, and it's like, nah, you don't understand like how in depth it goes, right? And all they think about is one thing, and it's like, come on, like it's more to that, more than that. You have to enjoy it, right? You have to. Hearing people complain about it, right? It bothers me because it's just like, why do it if you don't enjoy it?
Like complaining about the gym, the dieting.
I gotta go. No, you get to go.
Yeah.
I gotta diet. No, you get to diet.
Man, I talk with people all the time about the mindset of when it comes into things. And I'm going to touch on that with you on how your mindset probably developed through your years. But I talk to people all the time, like your mindset on things, you don't have to do it. You get to do it. You have the opportunity to do things.
Absolutely.
So having a positive attitude and having a positive mindset on whatever it is. Someone you competed against, Chris Bumstead, Mr. Olympian, Classic Physique, the division that you compete in, he coined a phrase, pressure is privilege.
Truth.
And I love it.
Right.
I love that he coined that, because that kind of pressure and, those kind of things that you have to do to get to those levels, you should be damn grateful that you get to do that.
When you don't have those pressures on you, nobody cares.
Exactly.
Right. So that's the thing, and that's why it's such an individual thing, right? And everybody has their reason for why they do what they do. I have fun.
You just enjoy doing it.
I just have fun doing it. And honestly, to be honest, and this they're gonna really hate me, but it's not even a matter of the competition. It's the ride there. Like, I enjoy lifting. I literally, I talk to people all the time in the gym, right? And they'll come and be like, bro, like, but I'm like, I'm just Rob. And I'm just Rob. That's it. Like, I just like lifting weights. I do the same thing you guys do.
So you don't embody that identity of bodybuilder, really. You're just yourself.
I'm just Robert.
Yeah, I got you.
I'm just Robert. The people fail to realize we all do the same thing. The only thing that separates us is our genetics.
I was a ex-competitive bodybuilder. I competed for years. I did as well as I could, and I was real close. Almost got a pro card. Real close. Got my ass whooped though by some Jamaican guy in the Caribbean Grand Prix. Kicked my ass. But I won my class. It was cool, and I left winning my class because I just knew that there was no way that I was going to get in the pro ranks and actually do anything because I was limited by my genetics. I will never look how you can look.
And that's the thing, right?
And that's okay.
And it's fine.
It's okay.
And people don't understand, like, that's why. And this is my biggest thing. This is literally why my mentality is the way it is. We can control 2 of the 3 things. We can control our dedication, and we can control our diet. You can't control your genetics.
People try.
So, that being said, that's a gift, right? Same way I tell people, you remember the kid in class that would sleep in class and ace the test, and then you were the one who was studying and you took a B on the test, and you were mad at them, but they're just gifted. That's a gifted thing. Everybody has their thing. Just because you like something doesn't mean it's for you, right? And people are given gifts to share with others, right?
Perfectly
to show
said.
people, and just this, you can sing. I can't sing, but I'm going to enjoy you singing, right? And so when people hey, what's your arm routine, or what's this? I'm like, it's not, I can tell you, but you won't get the same results, right? So
that's
I can't take credit for something that I'm gifted. So people say, oh, you're so humble. Well, it's because I know it's just a gift that I have.
You're a faith-based person.
Right.
God gives you gifts.
That's it.
I have gifts.
And he doesn't run out of them.
That's it.
And everybody gets something.
Everybody gets something, and that's the thing.
Everybody gets something. Exactly.
Discovering your gift
what it is.
the key to life.
That's right.
Discovering your gift is the key to life, making sure that you are putting everything into your gift.
Exactly.
You know?
Into your gift.
Yes.
And that's the thing you have to understand. You may love bodybuilding from a kid, but that may not be your gift. Right? And so that's why I think a lot of times it gets kind of, but when people don't realize that it's a gift, that's where you get the arrogance from.
Sure.
Because you think you did it. And in reality, it's like, well, you have round muscle bellies because that's your genetics.
Yeah, you have a tiny waist, you have round muscle belly.
That's because of your, right. So it's just it's a lot, but it's it's fun. Bodybuilding is fun.
Your mindset on things, this is how I try to tell people to think about basically everything. This is how you should think about life in general.
Right.
Looking at it in a way where you are discovering your gift, you are doing everything you can to really embellish your gift and be successful at it. So while you were going through this, you had a kind of a big scare that you had to overcome, correct?
This is actually prior to me even lifting weights.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
So when I got diagnosed with cancer,
Okay.
it was non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
How old?
I was 21.
Wow. So very young. Non-Hodgkin's lymphoma is a serious thing that actually never goes away from what I understand.
It doesn't. It's dormant.
Okay.
And that's with any cancer, right? Everybody
Sure.
has cancer cells in their body. It's just a matter if they're active or not.
Absolutely.
I've been in remission since I was 21.
Okay.
Yeah, my leg was hurting. My left leg was hurting really, really bad. And I didn't understand why. I was like, and I had kept going to the hospital back and forth. And this is why I was stationed in Italy. It was, and I can take pain, but this was a different kind of pain.
You knew something was wrong.
I knew something was different. I'm like, man. So I would go to the hospital. I get a cortisone shot. Doctor would give me a cortisone shot. He's like, oh, it'll be fine.
Typical medical system. That's why I'm laughing. I'm sorry.
He's like,
not a funny situation.
Right. No, it's okay. No,
but it's like, it's typical. Put a Band-Aid on it.
Right. And I'm just like, okay, and me, 21, not understanding what cortisone was, I was like, okay, no, it makes it better. No, it just masks the pain. I go back, oh, it's just growing pains. And I said, okay.
21.
21. Okay. Oh, it's bursitis. Gave me a knee brace. And he's like, this will make it, better. I remember one night, and I had been going to the hospital for the beginning of that whole year. I kept going. And the thing, things can seem in excess when you're doing the same thing over and over, and then you start to see your higher ups start to kind of get frustrated with you, and you're like, I'm not just complaining, I'm telling you it's really, So I keep going, and the last time I went and I said, can I get another doctor? And I had gotten a civilian doctor. The civilian guy came in. He's like, let me do an MRI and an X-ray on you. I said, okay. I get to, it's December now, right? I started way early in January going to the doctor.
Wow.
December 23rd. Okay. I go and the doctor says, so I got your results back. He said, he showed me an X-ray. And on this X-ray, it had my right shin bone, and it was all white. He's like, this is how your bone is supposed to look. He showed me the other one, my other shin bone, and at the top it was black. And he said, that's cancer. He said, we're going to medevac you. You have two options. You can go to Wilford Hall, which is in Texas, or you can go to Walter Reed, which is in Maryland. And he said, and I was like, oh, well, send me to Walter Reed. That's where my mom works. And he's like, really? I was like, yes. He was like, what does she do? I was like, she's a physician assistant, a cardiac physician assistant. He said, okay. So he's like, can I call her? I was like, absolutely. So he calls her. And this is one of those things that really changed my mindset a lot at this point. Okay. So everybody has their idea of how a mother is: loving, caring, right? Nurturing, right? My dad, I remember I called my dad, and you know how close I am with my dad.
Oh, yeah.
It's my guy. I called my dad, and my dad was like, what? Like, what's going on? What happened? How does this happen? I called my mom. She didn't raise me, right? I met her again when I was 16, 17.
Oh, so you guys didn't really have a relationship?
No.
Okay.
She's been in the military, didn't raise me, so doesn't really know me. Right? I call, like, hey, Mom, like, I just found out that I have cancer. And now, obviously, I'm hurt. I'm scared, crying.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
oh, yeah.
She's like, what are you going to do, cry about it or figure it out? That's what my mom told me.
Damn.
That was one of those things that broke something in me, right? I don't know whether it was good or bad, but it broke something in me, right? And it was like, growing up, you see how you think a mother would be.
You think they're going to be softer. You think they're going to be more caring, more nurturing.
But my mother wasn't that, right? But I understood, too. She's been in the military. That's all she knows. Hardened. But it was facts, right? And her mentality, to me, was facts don't care about your feelings. So that's what I got out of that.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, it's the facts. You can cry about it or you can take care of it. So I said, okay. She was like, let me talk to the doctor. She was like, send him. Don't set up doctors. I got his doctors. Send him. 2 days later, I was in Maryland doing my biopsy.
Okay. So she was just that matter of fact with you.
Absolutely.
And looking on that now, I mean, we're talking, 15 years ago or something like that. So looking on that now, do you think that has helped you develop as a man as you've been growing and kind of learning? It
has, because I think a lot of times an emotional reaction will mess you up a lot, right? It's a necessary, but a lot of times you act out of emotion and don't think logically and don't think it through to where you'll make the wrong choice.
Sure.
Or the choice you really didn't intentionally want to make.
Or make no choice.
Or
be crippled by emotion,
Absolutely.
Which we see all the time now. Everybody's so softened by this modern culture, it seems, that nobody is really looking at logic and looking at the way that you really should solve problems.
Right. What would it benefit me if she was like, oh, my baby, da 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 da. What would that really have benefited me, right?
It would have literally gotten you nowhere.
No, at all. But that's what I was at that moment. I was looking for that.
Yeah.
Right. And
well,
it was just like,
you're scared, you're young.
Exactly. Yeah. But then when she did what she did, it was just like, okay, I just got to take care of it.
Mm-hmm. That's what I feel like really builds people are those experiences and those hardships. I mean,
Absolutely.
Obviously you got over it. You're in remission now. That's amazing.
Right.
You're clearly healthy for anybody that's not watching on YouTube and listening.
Right.
You're a damn specimen if I've ever seen one.
Right.
So now moving forward, you've been in the military. You're still in the military.
Yes.
You did active full duty for how many years? 13 years. Thank you for your service,
Absolutely.
by the way. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
You're still active on the reserves.
Yes.
Okay. And you have a full-time career as well.
Yes.
What is that career in?
Microprocessor manufacturing.
For everybody, including me, what does that mean?
Okay, so every computer you use has a microprocessor. Every Apple Watch you have, it has a microprocessor. All these things, cars have microprocessors. These are your chips.
Okay.
Just microprocessor chips for computers and stuff. And I work for Intel.
Huge shortage right now, actually, of those for automobiles.
Yes.
Okay.
So I work for Intel, and I love it. I've been there for about 4 years now.
Let's kind of dive into that for a second because you're not just the typical guy who is the military martial arts. You got a brain in there too, and you're doing some pretty detailed, cool stuff.
Oh yeah. So as a kid, my dad used to get so mad at me. He used to get so mad at me, right? And because he would buy me things all the time, like the coolest toys and all this stuff, and I would just take it apart.
Oh boy.
And I sometimes couldn't put it back together.
Sure.
And it would make him mad because he's like, "You just breaking stuff." And I'm like, "No, I just want to know how it works."
Ah, okay. That's your way of discovering how things work and you're learning. That's your Got it. Are you a hands-on learner?
Very.
Okay.
I have to be hands-on. I can't.
Which makes sense why you didn't really segue into college.
Right.
You need to be hands-on.
Right.
Okay.
So I have to do it. So doing that, it led me into taking apart computers. At 14, I wanted to get a new computer, and my dad was like, no. So I ordered the parts and built my own computer.
At what age?
14.
14, you built your own computer.
Take apart, put it back together, right? That's kind of how I thought about it. I was like, okay, I took this apart before. I know how to put one together. So we did it. Me and my best friend, we kind of sat there and we tried it. We did it. And it was, my dad was like, how you know how to do this? And I was like, I don't know.
Remember all those toys you bought me that I broke?
Right. And that's where it stemmed from. But then that pulls me into bodybuilding.
Yeah.
The same thing. Bodybuilding is the same thing.
Tearing
you break it down and put it
back
back together.
Yeah.
How you want to put it together. So that's kind of how my mind works. I have to understand it and do it myself. I can't me sitting and learning from someone pointing to a board, and that's just not my way of learning.
Gotcha. It's in one ear and out the other. I got you.
A lot of people are like that. And that's why school's hard for a lot, right? Because they're like, I got to do it. Let me do it.
I think that's the problem with the education system in general.
I do too. I think they want everybody to learn one way.
Yeah.
And that's not how it works.
They're not able to adapt to the learning styles of all the individuals. And somebody like you, so I'm a horrible reader. That's my problem. But if I will listen to a lecture, that's how I got through college. I laugh at people, or people laugh at me, and I laugh about it. I went through college and I graduated cum laude. I never read a book. Everything that I learned,
you heard.
I had to hear it and interact and have a conversation. So me and you having this conversation, I will more than likely never forget all the information that I'm learning in this conversation. But if I had to read it in a book,
absolutely,
it's gone. I mean,
and that's fair. That's just it as an individual learning
I'm like,
thing. That's
bird,
right?
Right.
No, I get it.
The education system right now, I think, is just a catastrophe because, especially with like what they're doing with distance learning. And
right.
Me and you will lost.
Absolutely.
Lost.
Absolutely.
So, being able to adapt to how you learn, and that's a huge thing that we need to start teaching the younger generations is, if you know that you learn better this way,
right.
And the parents need to recognize that.
That's right.
You know, so
they exactly. You can't get frustrated with your kid. That's why I went in the military, because I knew it was going to be, you go to a short school, learn what you need to learn while you're doing it hands-on, and then my job was going to be hands-on.
But, you know, thank God for your dad, though, that he didn't have that mindset where he tried to push you into college when it would have been a failure for you.
Right. And
it would have been a failure.
I knew, again, being that I didn't want to upset him.
Sure.
I didn't want to waste his money. Right. I didn't want to waste my dad's money. I know it's not cheap.
You were very self-aware, though.
Absolutely.
As an 18-year-old, that's a very self-aware place to be.
Absolutely.
So, you know, you knowing exactly how you learn and you really going into a career and a lifestyle in a field.
Right.
Most people that are in IT or that are in processing or that are working for Intel, they probably have a bachelor's, a master's.
Oh, a lot of them do. Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. Chemical engineers.
Yeah.
Just regular engineers, electrical engineers. Like, these dudes are amazing. They blow my mind, literally.
But I bet you do the same thing to them.
Absolutely.
They probably look at you and are like,
and that's the thing.
How does this dude know this stuff?
It's so funny because I advanced quickly in Intel. And they're like, even when I came in, because usually it takes 2 years, they say, to get certified. I got certified in 6 months. And they were like, how do you know how to? And I'm just like, it's the way my mind works. My mind just works different. And I tell people all the time, you know, you just got to find your niche, because everybody has it. Everybody has something. And it may not be what you like to do. It may be that thing that people tell you, oh, that you make that look easy. That's your niche.
What advice would you tell people that are listening on how to find that niche, how to find where you're supposed to be?
It's not a matter of finding it. You know it already because people have told you. You just haven't listened.
Oh.
People tell you all the time. They're like, you start a business? You always start in businesses. Yeah, this is easy. That's just, you know, but you over here trying to be a martial artist. It's like, bro, your job, that's what you're supposed to be doing. You could do this in your sleep. You know how to do this. Oh, man, you're good at math. Oh, it's easy. It's just because it's this. You know how many people struggle doing math? But you're over here wanting to be cultivate the thing that people tell you all the time that you make look easy. That's it. That's really it. You already have experienced your niche. You just haven't cultivated your niche.
So it's a recognition.
It's a recognition. You have to recognize it. You have to be self-aware and recognize it. My dad, when you were a baby, Robert, like when you were little, I was like, why you get these little abs? Like, my dad said this.
Were you one of those kids with a six-pack?
Yes. And didn't work for it. Ate whatever I wanted. You know, and as I'm getting older, you know, he's like, you were always strong. You were always, you know, everybody always loved you. As a kid, everybody loved you. People think I'm in bodybuilding because of the way you look. That's why people think I bodybuild. I don't bodybuild for that. The reason I bodybuild, the only reason I came into this game was to influence. A lot of people in the military, they're like, bro, like, how do you make time to bodybuild and do a full-time job? In my civilian job, it's all about time management, one, right? And this is the show and influence people in the show. You can do something other than your career. You just got to make time to do it. I don't have time. Yeah, you do. Don't tell me you don't have time.
How many hours of TV you watch?
Right.
Right.
Because there's time.
How much you scrolling on Instagram?
Right. Because there's more time. I was sleeping 3 hours during my prep for the Texas show.
Wow.
I slept 3 hours a day on my work days.
Well, now knowing
I work 12-hour shifts.
Now knowing what you do makes sense.
You figure it out if that's something you want. But don't complain. Oh, I'm tired. You know, I get it. You know, the way the body works. But I really wonder how many people would say they're tired if they never heard somebody say they were tired from no carbs.
Interesting perspective.
If you didn't hear somebody say you're going to be tired because you have no carbs, would you really be tired because you have no carbs?
It's a mental game.
It's a mental game, right? And so people are like, oh, I get cranky when I'm training, when I'm cutting. Do you really though? Or are you using an excuse, right? Because I use myself as a catalyst, right? Like, I do it and I'm like, I have no carbs. I'm like, no, I'm not tired like that. I'm not angry. It's one of those things, right? Like you built this mentality of a bodybuilder's life. Oh, he's gonna be cutting. Oh, he's gonna be angry.
We can go back and we can segue back into what you're being built for.
Right.
You're built for that. You put me on low carb for too long, I might be angry because my body does not want that. Right. Your body can tolerate it.
But you notice it. Mm-hmm. Right? It's really deeper than just lifting weights.
Sure.
Right? And changing your body. It's really, really way deeper than that.
What's the next thing for you? Where is Robert Timms in bodybuilding, in life, in career, in 5 years and 10 years? Where are you going?
Bodybuilding wise?
Bodybuilding. Let me hear what your bodybuilding. Do you have aspirations in bodybuilding, or is it just kind of you're just doing it?
So
you're gonna make a lot of people mad when you say this, probably.
So my ultimate goal is a family.
Okay.
I could care less. No, I'm not gonna say I could care less, but bodybuilding is fun.
Okay.
Competing is fun.
It's a hobby.
It's a hobby. It's still a hobby to me, though. That's the thing, right? So it's not my lifestyle. I don't make a ton of money bodybuilding. Sure. I just do it for fun. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking maybe next 2 years I'm done.
Okay.
I've had a lot of fun doing it, but that doesn't mean I'm going to stop lifting.
No, you're always going to look like this.
But competing, it's expensive, really expensive. And I'm just kind of like, at the end of the day, my goal is a family, because when I'm on my deathbed, I'm not going to ask for a trophy. I'm going to ask for my family, right? I've had a lot of fun doing it. But yeah, I don't see myself doing it in the next 5 years. I just
live some life, enjoy, travel.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, have some
with
kids.
Family, yeah.
I love it, man.
That's what I want.
That's good. And that's the real thing, because I see all these people that are in the bodybuilding industry, and you and I both know, everybody knows watching that looks into bodybuilding, it can be a very unhealthy existence.
Absolutely.
Not just physically, but mentally.
No, mentally. You when you're going to eat and you look at the back of labels every day, and and it's a gift and a curse, right? Because you're like, oh, I want to eat a pizza, but I got to make sure I got protein on it, right? Or, oh, I want to eat the Brazilian steakhouse.
Yeah.
But I need some carbs, right? So it's like you really got to, you get into a mindset where you will never, ever just eat to enjoy and just relax.
I've been there.
It's always that balance you have to have. And you try to make sure holidays, okay, well, these are my macros, so I got to make sure
Dude, I've done it. I feel stupid even saying it now, because like when I think about it, going to holidays, going to my mother's house, I'm 100% Croatian. Okay.
Right. Okay.
So my family cooks very Croatian, ethnic food, right? It is fatty, bro.
Yeah.
It is full of carbs. It is full of fats. It is delicious. And I have missed those meals because I was like, I gotta compete. It's so stupid when I think about it now.
Those are the lasting effects. Now, granted, it is good. It's kind of a necessary evil.
There's a balance.
Because it has to be about because now the food you need, nutrient dense food versus trash food. You're never going to eat just whatever and be fine. And it's crazy to me to see people who can do that.
Yeah.
Because now that I don't do that, I'm like, oh my gosh, how do you just eat this breadsticks and just that's it?
Yeah.
And you're good. And I'm like, you have no and it's like, I'm not, how do I judge? And it's you see these are the mental walls you come with being a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I think you have a really healthy outlook on bodybuilding and on life.
Oh, absolutely.
The way that your mind works on everything from motivation to just doing what you need to do to recognizing who you should be, what you should be. Right. I think people really need to look deeper inside themselves to see really where they fit in the world.
Right, absolutely.
And I mean, you're a great example. So,
and the thing is, like, you say motivation.
Yeah.
I think motivation comes from things that you don't really, really want to do. I'm not motivated to go to the gym. I'm not motivated to compete. I do it because I love doing it. I don't need motivation to do it. Right? So when people ask you, like, what motivates you to go to the gym? I don't need motivation to go to the gym.
I love doing it.
I just like it, So that's the thing. Like, so you got to ask yourself, do I really enjoy the game? If you do, you shouldn't need motivation.
You should be doing what you love.
You should just do it because you love doing it.
Yeah.
Right?
It's good, man. It's so simple. It's so simple when you look at it.
And that's the thing, right? Like, I keep everything, it has to make sense to me. If it doesn't make sense, or you can't give me a why. If I ask you why and you can't give me an answer, it just won't make sense. I need it to make sense.
Well, you're a overly logical person.
Yes. But that's from my dad.
We're missing a lot of that right now in the world. And that's what people need to really focus on. I'm excited for your future.
Thank you.
I'm excited for you really using this platform that you built, not just from bodybuilding, but from everything that you've done to influence and really push people to recognize their dreams, recognize what they should be doing.
Absolutely.
And getting people to a point where they are a better version of themselves.
Yes. And that all comes down to being honest with yourself.
Amen. Robert Timms, thank you so much for coming on here.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.